about the pardon the President of Israel executed the Prime Minister?
A pardon?
Pardon.
I think you will. How do you not? He's a wartime prime minister who's a hero. How do you not give a pardon?
Corruption allegations against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu continue to trail him during his recent visit to the United States, overshadowing his diplomatic agenda and adding fresh pressure to his already embattled leadership. Beyond the ongoing conflicts in Gaza, Syria, Lebanon, and Iran, discussions in Washington centered heavily on Israel's deepening political crisis, highlighting growing concerns about the country's stability and governance. On December 29th, US President Donald Trump stirred global headlines by claiming that Israel's president had informed him personally of a decision to pardon Netanyahu of all corruption charges.
What about the pardon the President of Israel executed the Prime Minister?
A pardon?
Pardon.
I think you will. How do you not? He's a wartime prime minister who's a hero. How do you not give a pardon? You know, I think it's a very hard thing not to do it. I spoke to the president, and it's on. I mean, he tells me it's on its way.
Mr. President.
Can't do better than that, right?
Mr. Trump, because your last remarks regarding the pardon request of Prime Minister Netanyahu, Herzog office told us that you have not talked after the official request of Prime Minister Netanyahu pardon. Can you clarify to us? Did you talk
Which
about
request
it
are you talking about?
with the President Herzog, the Israeli President Herzog? Did you talk with him directly?
President Erdogan?
Herzog. The Israeli President.
So you're talking
Herzog.
about pardon?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you got to say that. No, I think he's going to be in great shape. He's a wartime prime minister at the highest level. He's achieved tremendous success. And I'll say it, you know, if you had 8 out of 10 prime ministers in his position right now, or before right now, maybe, you wouldn't have Israel any longer. Israel would not exist. I'd say two of them would, and 8 of them wouldn't. Those are not good odds. You needed a very special man to really carry through and really help Israel through this horrible.
But in a surprising turn of events, only minutes after Trump's statement went public, Israel's president issued an official response, effectively contradicting the former US leader's bold claim. According to the Times of Israel, President Isaac Herzog firmly stated that he had never made any such comment to Trump or anyone from his inner circle, dismissing the claim as completely inaccurate. Isaac Herzog's office said, quote, "There has not been a conversation between President Herzog and President Trump since the pardon request was submitted." Unquote. Herzog went on to clarify that he had spoken with one of Trump's aides several weeks earlier, emphasizing that the conversation had been part of a routine diplomatic exchange, not a discussion about pardons. The phone call had revolved around a letter that Trump had written to Herzog back in November 2025, where the former president had raised concerns about Netanyahu's ongoing corruption cases. In that November letter, Trump had specifically urged his Israeli counterpart to consider granting Netanyahu a pardon, arguing that it could bring unity and calm to a nation divided by conflict and politics. Herzog, however, maintained that any decision regarding clemency would be handled strictly within the bounds of legal and constitutional procedures, reaffirming the independence of Israel's judiciary. The roots of these controversies go back to 2019, when 3 major corruption cases were formally filed against Netanyahu, marking the beginning of one of the most significant legal battles in Israel's history. His trial, which commenced in May 2020, turned into a historic first, making Netanyahu the only sitting Israeli prime minister ever to face direct cross-examination in court. As proceedings continued, Netanyahu became the first active prime minister in Israel to be tried on serious criminal charges, including fraud, breach of trust, and bribery, a moment that deeply divided the public. Netanyahu has consistently proclaimed his innocence, pleading not guilty in all 3 cases and maintaining that the charges are part of a politically driven effort to remove him from power. The Prime Minister has publicly argued that a presidential pardon would help bring national reconciliation and heal the political and social fractures that widened following the traumatic events of the October 7th attacks. However, if found guilty, Netanyahu could face severe legal consequences, with Israeli law stipulating that bribery alone carries a prison sentence of up to 10 years, a verdict that could permanently alter Israel's political landscape.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the US will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HT videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.